Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your express route to, well, getting past the noise and really getting informed. Today we're diving headfirst into something pretty visceral. It's a raw first-person narrative, and it really pulls you into this hidden urban world. We're talking about a landscape where survival, it's not just a challenge, it's a brutal daily negotiation. So our mission as we unpack this is to navigate this complex underworld with you, understand its unspoken rules, its like warring factions, and the pretty shocking secrets it holds, all without getting lost in the dizzying details. Prepare for some genuinely surprising facts, and I think some really thought-provoking insights that'll stick with you.
And just to give a bit more context here, this narrative, it comes from someone grappling with a really profound transformation. I mean, common parlance might jump straight to vampire, where the story itself calls the condition the virus. So it was an intimate, often a pretty horrifying look at what it means to survive, to exist, when your most basic needs are just primal, demanding. This perspective gives us this unique lens to explore the constant conflict and, yeah, the really deep moral ambiguities that come up when the stakes are literally life and death.
That really paints a grim picture, doesn't it? A life where every single choice is survival or, well, death. And our guide through this incredibly dangerous landscape is Joe Pitt. He's our protagonist, and he's firmly planted in the South Bronx, a place he vividly describes as my cage. He lives in isolation there, trying to keep a low profile, which is, a unique challenge for him. As he puts it, and it's pretty stark, there just ain't no other fucking white people in these parts after the sun goes down.
Oh.
That's not just a casual observation, right? It really underscores his need to blend in, to disappear, avoid any attention, because too many questions could easily mean his end in a place where he's already an outsider among outsiders. So how does he manage that? Staying hidden and, fed without constantly drawing lethal attention.
Well, that's the core of his struggle, really. Joe is one of the infecteds. A vampire in the classic sense, sure, but with this brutal, almost biological twist. The virus defines his whole existence. It forces a strictly nocturnal life. Any exposure to sunlight would cause what he describes as these instantaneous eruptions of bloody pustules on my eyes, basically blinding him, incapacitating him. And beyond that, the fundamental truth of his new life is the constant, inescapable need to drink blood to survive. This isn't just like a hunger pang. It's an overwhelming visceral demand from the virus itself. So to answer your question, he manages this by becoming a really meticulous turf manager in his corner of the Bronx. He's carved out a niche, protecting his area from what he calls poachers, starvelings, and the greedy and the weak.
Starvelings. Okay, that sounds particularly grim. What exactly are those, and how do they fit into this self-appointed role?
Starvelings are pretty much what they sound like, infecteds who are literally starving for blood. They've lost control. They become feral, desperate, incredibly dangerous. They'll attack anyone, human or infected, just for taste. So Joe's turf management, it isn't about charity, not at all. It's self-preservation. He maintains order, keeps a kind of peace, and ensures some degree of predictability in his territory. It's a harsh world, and he enforces his own brand of justice, and this immediately sets up a conflict for him. He smells trouble after a Yankees game, a pack of young, recently infected kids causing just absolute chaos. These aren't seasoned operators. They're new to the life, reckless, and as he notes, basically flashing "kill me now" signs to anyone who understands the code.
Kill me now signs. Wow, that's a terrifying way to describe inexperience. What happens to these new bloods, and how does the virus itself actually, manifest in a new host?
It's truly brutal. The narrative gives us this horrifying account of the infection process through a young girl Joe encounters. She's found with her tongue bitten out, apparently a common sign of initial infection. Yet she exhibits rapid, almost miraculous healing. Her tongue actually regrows, which is a key symptom of the virus. As depicted, the virus causes this internal burn, a sort of feverish transformation, leading to this fast wound closure, accelerated healing, and most critically, an insatiable craving for people blood. So these young bloods, some as young as 13, they're essentially ticking time bombs. They're new to the immense power and the horrifying urges, making them a danger not just to humans, but to themselves and others like them if they can't control those urges. It really paints a picture of a disease that compels violence, transforms the body, and kind of warps the mind, pushing people to the brink of savagery.
Okay, so moving from Joe's immediate brutal reality on the streets, let's shift our gaze a bit. We need to look at the architects of this larger world, the powerful clan leaders in Manhattan, the island, and the surrounding boroughs. This isn't just about street brawls anymore, it's like ideological warfare.
Yeah.
Different visions for the future of the infected clashing violently. And the stakes are incredibly personal for Joe because he's exiled from Manhattan, but Evie, this girl he cares deeply about, she's still there. So let's meet the masterminds behind these factions, each with their own chilling agenda.
Indeed. And Joe is caught right between these powerful forces, each with a very distinct philosophy. First, you've got Dexter Prato. He's the calculated leader of the coalition, described as smooth-faced, disarmingly calm. He views the virus not as a curse, but as an engine of evolution, a tool that demands extreme levels of fitness, resilience, adaptability from those it transforms. He actually offers Joe a job to infiltrate Amanda Horde's operation, specifically to understand her plans for a cure. And Prato's philosophy, it's chillingly practical. He makes it terrifyingly clear. If she goes public with a cure, he will instigate genocide. His words, make their deaths as rapid and as invisible as possible. For him, it's all about maintaining power and a specific vision for the infected species.
Wow. Okay, so genocide, that's extreme. Then on the complete opposite end of that spectrum, you mentioned Amanda Horde leading Clan Cure. She's described as young, brilliant, but Joe, with his, street-level view, also calls her mad as Hatter.
Right. Amanda believes the virus is one crap piece of engineering, inherently inefficient, prone to mutation. She's actively seeking a cure, running this apartment building as a kind of welfare state for infecteds, housing 261 members, which apparently is way more than she anticipated. It creates this logistical nightmare, a security nightmare. But she's driven by this belief that the virus is fundamentally flawed.
Okay, 261 members in one building. How does she even manage that? Running a clandestine welfare state, especially with so many potentially dangerous individuals.
Well, she relies heavily on key people, and her own sheer force of will, it seems. One of those key people is Sela, Amanda's loyal, pragmatic, and physically formidable bodyguard and lover. Sela is highly suspicious of Joe. She represents the practical, protective side of Clan Cure, acutely aware of the dangers Amanda's maybe idealistic vision invites. Sela's the one keeping the machinery running, ensuring security. She's the grounded counterbalance to Amanda's scientific fervor. Then there's Terry Bird. He's Joe's former employer, an intellectual from the Society faction. Terry advocates for unity among infecteds and eventually public integration, but he's currently struggling financially, losing the Count's income, apparently. He believes in truth, but he fears the nuclear device pressure, the doomsday device of revealing certain secrets too soon. He gets the catastrophic consequences of disrupting the fragile status quo. Right. The status quo matters, even if it's awful. Yeah. And then we have the more extreme elements, the truly dangerous ideologues. You mentioned the Count, the fanatical new head of the Enclave. Exactly. He sees the virus not as a disease, not an evolutionary step, but as a supernatural agency of redemption. He's aggressively expanding his ranks, embracing aggression and a purge to remake the world in the virus's image. And he actively seeks to recruit Joe, leveraging Joe's past Daniel cred within the Enclave.
Okay, Daniel cred. That sounds like more than just street cred. What exactly does that signify in this world?
That's a really crucial detail. A Daniel in this world isn't just a loyal follower. It's someone who has undergone this ritualistic self-mutilation, often sacrificing a limb. It demonstrates absolute, unquestioning devotion to the virus. Joe's history with the Enclave runs deep, marked by that kind of brutal commitment. It grants him this unique, albeit horrifying, form of respect and influence among them. That past devotion is what the Count is trying to exploit now. And sort of balancing these powerful factions is Esperanza Lucretia Benjamin. She's described as the concourse has to a boss.
Like the boss of the concourse.
Pretty much. It signifies she's the undisputed street-smart authority over the concourse area, which is this vital, sort of neutral territory where different factions cautiously meet. She's a tough, independent, former lament kid, operates outside the clan structures, but serves as a crucial contact and source of information for Joe. She understands the complex, dangerous ecosystem may be better than anyone, makes her a crucial, though costly, source of info for Joe. There's always a debt attached.
Right, the information broker, but you pay the price. Okay. Finally, we encounter Menace of the Mungiki, another excellent kid, leading a brutal crew in Queens, inspired by Kenyan blood-drinking gangsters believing fear brings freedom. Right.
That reference to Mungiki sounds very specific. How does that inspiration, manifest in their crew? Why is it significant? Well, the Mungiki are an actual Kenyan criminal group known for extreme violence, often including ritualistic blood drinking and intimidation. So, in this narrative, Menace's Mungiki crew embodies that same brutal ethos. They're not just street thugs, they're highly organized, ritualistic, using fear and violence as a philosophy. Their belief that causing fear brings freedom. It means they aim to completely dismantle established power structures through sheer terror. Linking them to a real-world, horrifying group just deepens the sense of menace, the primal, desperate nature of their actions. And he's tied to a truly horrifying secret that Joe is about to uncover. A secret that will fundamentally shake the foundations of this entire society.
So as you can see, Joe is caught in this incredibly complex web. Loyalties, conflicting goals. He's exiled from one place on a mission for another, has personal ties like Evie pulling him, wants to come home. He's navigating these powerful factions, not just for survival, but for deeply personal reasons, maybe even a twisted sense of justice. It's a very dangerous game he's playing, and the stakes are about to get astronomically higher. Joe's journey takes an even darker, more perilous turn when he takes on this mission for Amanda Horde to discover the Coalition's biggest secret, their source of blood in Queens. His guide through this treacherous, forgotten territory is Menace himself, leading him through polluted waterways, abandoned tunnels, dangerous industrial zones. It's a journey into the absolute heart of the city's hidden depravity, stripping away any last bit of romanticism from this infected world.
Yeah, and this journey culminates in a truly shocking, sickening discovery. A hidden blood farm beneath the gravel yard. The conditions Joe finds are just beyond chilling. He describes dozens of stupid, mute, starving kids with hoses stuck in their arms.
Yeah.
And as he goes deeper, he realizes there are hundreds more of them down there, manacled to beds, bred that way.
And red.
Bred that way. These children aren't just imprisoned, they are utterly dehumanized, treated as cattle, a raw, constant, renewable supply for the infected world. It's a system of monstrous exploitation. The implication is staggering. The city itself, the entire society of the infected, is built on their suffering. As the source grimly puts it, you're walking on their bones, you're living in their skeletons. It's the ultimate doomsday device for their world.
That's profoundly disturbing, just an awful image. And this horrific truth, it doesn't just shock Joe, it sparks a series of immediate calculated betrayals by him, setting the entire stage for war. First, he reports back to Amanda, right? Gives Clay and Kira the intel about the blood farm.
Exactly. And her reaction is profound. It shifts from, scientific curiosity to this new, grim determination. She decides to start being a whole lot more selective and, crucially, to buy guns. This revelation fundamentally changes her approach, transforms her from an idealist, maybe, into a pragmatist ready for conflict.
It's a turning point for her, and Joe immediately uses this information.
Oh, absolutely. He leverages it for his own complex agenda. He then manipulates Terry Bird of the society. Joe uses his knowledge of the blood farm to secure his return to Manhattan, exploiting Terry's financial desperation and his moral principles. He basically presents Terry with this stark money or your life situation, knowing Terry hates direct violence but desperately needs funds.
That's deeply cynical.
It is, but strategically brilliant in a way, forcing Terry to compromise his ideals. And then, to really stir the pot, ensure these factions can't ignore the truth, Joe strategically informs Lydia. She's Terry's second-in-command, tells her about the blood farm and Terry's dilemma. This guarantees internal chaos within the society, sets up an inevitable, explosive confrontation, creates fissures in every camp.
So what's clear is the profound impact this revelation has, not just on Joe, but on the entire infected world. This secret isn't just information, it's called a doomsday device for the whole community, threatening to ignite a full-scale war among the clans.
Pretty much. Joe has, in essence, just lit the fuse on this incredibly explosive situation. His actions, though brutal, maybe self-serving, they seem driven by more than just survival now. We see him grappling with his past lies, his long exile, this desperate desire to come home to Manhattan, even as he knows he's confronting his own imminent death.
And there's that poignant encounter with Evie you mentioned earlier, now infected, embracing her new eternal life, saying, "I don't ever want to die. I want to live forever, Joe." That adds another layer to his motivations, doesn't it? Not just justice, but maybe securing a future, even a dark one for those he cares about.
That's it, exactly. Joe stands as this lone wolf, totally morally ambiguous, yet now he's the key catalyst in a conflict that will reshape the infected world. His actions are driven by this complex mix of deep personal loyalties, maybe a twisted sense of justice for those exploited kids, and a desperate desire to dismantle the horrific foundation their entire society is built on. He is both the victim of this world and an architect of its coming storm. He's making impossible choices, sacrificing alliances, risking his life, because he understands that a society built on such an unspeakable secret cannot, and perhaps should not, endure.
So what does this all mean for us as we sort of grapple with this dark vision? This deep dive has really pulled back the curtain on a precarious balance of power among the clans, a balance now utterly shattered by the horrifying revelation of the blood farm. War, a total devastating war, seems not just likely, but
Inevitable, right? With incredibly high stakes for every single infected individual and maybe even for humanity itself.
Yeah, this narrative forces us to confront a really chilling paradox. A society of monsters who depend on a far greater monstrosity for their survival. It reveals how quickly even the infected can rationalize unimaginable cruelty when basic survival is on the line. We see these varying responses to the truth: Amanda Horde's scientific pursuit of a cure, Pareto's cold, calculating vision of evolution, the Enclave's fanatical embrace of the virus, all while basically ignoring the source of their sustenance. It makes you question how any society, maybe even our own, might justify its hidden horrors when its very existence feels threatened. Exactly. In a world where survival depends on such a dark secret, and one person has chosen to expose it knowing it will ignite a war, what truly defines justice, and what is the true cost of freedom when it's built on such a horrific foundation? Consider how far you would go and what you would sacrifice to survive in a world where your daily bread, or blood in this case, comes from such an unspeakable place. That's definitely a thought to carry with you.